Well, welcome back to the podcast. Me and Oscar here to break down UFC Fight Night, Edwards vs. Muhammad. A lot of controversy, what happened on the fight night, but a lot of great, spectacular performance came from fighters up and down the card, and me and Oscar here to talk about it. So how's it going?
It's going just fine. This was a really weird card. We never see stuff like this. The last time I can remember something this weird, it was Jeremy Stevens and Yair Rodriguez in Mexico City back in September of 2019. Imagine if there was a crowd for that eye poke. They probably would have thrown their beers too. And, it is what it is. We'll have to move on. Do you think Leon Edwards is worthy of a title shot after that, pretty good performance until that eye poke?
Before we get into that, I saw that little it is what it is drop there comment. Shout out to Max Holloway.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the greats on his way to becoming champion once again.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting to see what next for him. Best case scenario is probably Ortega does win that match against Volkanovski.
Yeah, Volkanovski is very hesitant to take that fight once again because he believes fans will always want Max Holloway to get a rematch if he wins. But I honestly think Max Holloway's leveled up once again against Calvin Kattar.
Yeah, so I'll go back to your original question. Does Leon Edwards deserve that title shot after this performance? I'm English. I should be saying yes, give it him. But I'm not too sure on this one, Oscar. I don't know what it is. He looked sharp. He looked really good in there. But I just don't think it warrants a title shot. I don't know what it is. I feel like, if he went out there, put on a spectacular performance, that head kick, that head kick really hurt Belal. I thought, that he was in real trouble there. Leon Edwards stayed composed, slowed down the pace of the fight. Once again, it was his fight. He was dedicating the fight, the pace of the fight, and he was landing his shots at will. He was looking great out there. For someone who was 600 days outside the cage, man, he was looking good. But what I would like to see next is maybe a fight with Colby, Burns, or Wonderboy. That's what I'm liking.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Coming off a long layoff like that and beating a guy for just one round and then eye poking him, I don't think that warrants a title shot. He was supposed to fight Khamzat Chimaev, somebody with a ton of hype, and instead he got a no contest against Belal Muhammad. I honestly don't think it would sit well with me if he were to get a title shot off of this. He needs to fight one of these top guys and reestablish himself as the top contender. Possibly a fight with Colby would be suitable for him. But if you ask me, get him in there with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson already called him out. Even though Stephen wants a title shot, that's highly unlikely with Masvidal and Usman likely going to be being the coaches for the Ultimate Fighter. So put him in there against possibly the best striker in the division and really test him. And if he wins that, I have no problem with him getting a title shot. But based off of winning one round against the number 13, that wouldn't sit well with me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yes, his performance was good. He was looking sharp. The layoff looked like it didn't really affect him that much. But I just don't see a world that you should be able to give him a title shot after that. The performance was good. I'm not saying that his performance wasn't, terrible. I just don't see where it warrants him a title shot. Would I prefer him to get a title shot over Jorge after he's just lost to Usman? Yes, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. But I really think Wonderboy's deserving. Wonderboy, he's had some rough patches here and there. Got knocked out by Anthony Pettis. He went to a split decision against Darren Till and lost that night. But Wonderboy's always been
hometown judges. Hey,
he won three. He definitely won 3 rounds against Tyron Woodley at UFC 205. But unfortunately, he got tagged, and that's what costs him on a lot of occasions. He just gets tagged. But we know how good this guy is. This guy is the best striker in the division, possibly one of the best in the UFC of all time. And that would be a really good test for Usman. And he's the highest ranked guy that Usman hasn't already beat. So that's what really interests me right now. Let's book it. Wonderboy and Leon Edwards.
Yeah, and if you look at, who Usman has fought in that welterweight division, I think it's nearly everyone, set from Hamzat, set from Wonderboy, KSR. There's like 3 people in that division that Usman hasn't fought. That's what you call cleaning out a division. It's incredible.
Yeah, Usman really just has to continue to establish his legacy fight after fight until he gets to the level of GSP, which I think that's highly likely with the way he, his striking is getting better. He doesn't mind just pulling out a boring decision win against guys like Masvidal and Woodley. He's just getting to that point where he gets compared to GSP.
Yeah, that's a lot of people, as you said, they're compared him to GSP in his last fight. A lot of people are saying that his legacy already is maybe left more than what GSP done, and I completely disagree with that statement. I think GSP's legacy and what he left in the sport is unmatchable compared to Usman.
Absolutely, there's a good argument for GSP being the greatest of all time if you want to take John Jones out of the conversation for his PEDs. Usman has beaten nearly everyone in the division, but he just needs to do it. If he does all of that and does it twice over, there's going to be no debate. This guy is going to be in those conversations, but guys like Wonderboy and Colby definitely would give him a little bit of a challenge.
Would you like to see maybe Leon Edwards, Belal Muhammad kind of run it back maybe? And maybe book it straight away?
I have no interest in that. Belal Muhammad only got this fight because they wanted to keep Leon Edwards on this card. And now that Leon Edwards rocked him in the first round with a head kick and was clearly ahead in the fight, I have no desire to see a rematch. I said Belal Muhammad should get what he originally asked for, Li Jingliang. Li Jingliang is right there with him in the rankings, and that's not an easy fight for Belal either. So I said Belal Muhammad gets what he originally asked for.
Yeah, a lot of great possible matchups. A welterweight with the consideration of Hamzat Chimaev. Was he retiring? Was he not? He said on Instagram Live today that he's going to be back and he's going to be smashing everyone. So that's interesting. That's good to see. He's got that right mindset now. He said he's going to be back and he's going to smash everyone.
Interesting. I honestly think Luka is going to be the one doing the smashing that night, but I'd love to see him prove me wrong because Woodley in his prime years was an absolute monster.
Chimaev.
Oh, Chimaev. Oh, yeah. I love Chimaev. I honestly think this guy, we were talking about guys that could give Usman a challenge. Chimaev was the best wrestler in Sweden at one point. So, and he has legitimate one-punch knockout power as he showed against Gerald Meerschaert.
Oh man, that's such a fun matchup. If it happens down the line, I will be so ecstatic. I would love to see that fight happen eventually down the line. But we're here talking about UFC Fight Night, Edwards versus Muhammad. Eventually, that could be UFC, whatever, UFC 270, Usman versus Chimaev. We never know. We could be recapping that one day. The possibilities in the UFC is endless. But yeah, Leon Edwards, Belal Muhammad ends in a no contest via eye poke. And I believe this was maybe the first card in UFC history that has 2 no contests on a main card.
Yeah, I honestly couldn't remember the last time that happened. It was an insane night. There was a ton of knockouts, and let's move on to one of these knockouts.
Here it is. Ryan Spann. I wrote him off for this fight. I thought Misha Serkinov, maybe get that fight to the ground, use his submission specialist. He is a submission specialist. We've seen that in his last fight against, Jimmy Crute, one of the best guys in the division at the moment. And Ryan Spann shut me up real quick with his quick hands.
I actually listened to this episode after the fights occurred, and you actually didn't count him out. You actually agreed with my prediction that Ryan Spann would get the first round knockout because of Misha Serkinov's chin issues. You were actually right with your prediction. You probably switched it, but I was just very confident that Ryan Spann would probably clip him because it's happened so many times before. And Ryan Spann was quite patient, unlike he was in the Walker fight, and he learned from his mistakes in the Walker fight, and he got it done here. And he called out the winner of Anthony Smith and Jimmy Crute. I say that matchup makes all the sense in the world. We're probably going to see Jimmy Crute on top in that matchup, and those two were actually matched up before. earlier in their UFC career, and I would love to see it. That'd be a fun fight. We would certainly see fireworks. And Misha Serkinov having that long layoff probably was a factor in this result for him. He got beat to the punch here, and he never even got to the ground, which I thought he would at least get one takedown, but Ryan Spann got it done in under 90 seconds.
You just saw as soon as the fight started the difference in hand speed between these guys. It was evidently clear. Ryan Spann, his hands are fast, and they landed early and put the lights out on Misha Serkinov, and Misha Serkinov completely had no answer with the striking of Ryan Spann. As we touched on it on the preview, the Ryan Spann hurt Walker in the last fight. If he didn't go for that loose, lazy takedown, the fight could have been his.
Absolutely. And as I told you, Misha Serkinov went and trained with Walker after getting knocked out by him, but that just couldn't help him when it comes to speed. Speed is, a huge advantage in mixed martial arts. If you can beat somebody to the punch and you got the power like Ryan Spann, you're probably going to win.
Yeah, 100%. Knockouts galore on the main card. And let's talk about one of the best knockouts we've seen in 2021 already. Danny Ige, one punch, like KO power versus Gavin Tucker. Incredible. I thought Gavin Tucker, I thought this two was going to be, a really good fight. Maybe back to back, going back and forth, but man, Danny Ige, 20 seconds in, boom, right hand, straight down the pipe, lights out. Gavin Tucker on the floor. He doesn't know what's happening. He was out.
I said this might have been the best fight of the night heading into the card. I thought it was going to be very competitive, likely a split decision, and I actually changed my pick from Gavin Tucker thank goodness I did, because I would have looked like a complete fool saying that Gavin Tucker would have gotten the nudge from the judges. Dan Ige was offended by people saying this was going to be a fun fight of the night type fight, and he was completely right. All it took was one punch. Gavin Tucker has never been knocked out before, so this never really entered my mind, because we've seen Dan Ige go to decisions a ton in his last couple of fights. In fact, he had a 5-round fight against Calvin Kattar, and he really didn't look like a crazy power puncher in there, but man, he looked like he can definitely go up there in the top 10 and really make some noise. I would like to see him get a top 10 matchup next. There's so many good matchups to make in this division. This is such a fun division to watch. Gavin Tucker needs to go back to the drawing board. And if Cub Swanson loses to Giga Chikadze, there's so many matchups for Cub Swanson. All these young guns who want to fight their hero, and I'd say book that fight if Cub Swanson loses.
Yeah, you mentioned there Danny again. His last fight, Calvin Kattar lost. Wasn't very close. Calvin Kattar, controlled the majority of the fight, but that kind of maybe helped Danny Ige. It maybe spurred him on, thinking, maybe I shouldn't be leaving it to the judges. We've seen it with Jorge Masvidal when he went away. He said that I can't leave it to the judges. It's a kill will be killed instinct. I need to end these fights. Maybe that went through Danny Ige's head. Maybe he thought, actually, I need to end these fights. I can't let it go to the judges.
Yeah, he's got a kid on the way. He needs to provide for his family, and he lived up to his nickname of 50K here, and he got that performance of the night bonuses. Well earned. I think this knockout was it was highlighted over the Summersburger knockout, but the Summersburger knockout was even quicker. We'll get to that a little bit later, but my goodness, this card was full of insane moments, and there was another insane moment right before this. This was a huge upset. Everybody was writing off Davey Grant heading into this one, including us. We were saying that he's lost many fights in the UFC, and Martinez was looking to be on fire. He was the more technical striker. He had all the hype around him, and Davey Grant was able to have an excellent comeback. He got knocked down in the first round. I thought Jonathan Martinez was eventually going to finish him, but it was Martinez who actually got knocked out in this one. He got put to sleep in round 2 after Jonathan Martinez got a little scared of the power from Davey Grant, because as when he tried to go for the finish, he tasted Grant's power and he got a little timid there in that second round and eventually got clipped. And Davey Grant is, beating these prospects over and over again. And I would like to see him fight another one, because he's really, in this later age at 35, he's having really great performances and really shocking guys, especially as a big underdog. I believe he was a plus 300 underdog. He looked really great tonight just by getting knocked down, and he's really durable. Do you think a prospect should be next for Davey Grant, possibly say a Andre Ewell?
Yeah, Onju, that would be a great fight. I think he fights in the soon, maybe. If he gets past that, I'm not too sure on the top of my head, but I think he has a fight coming up.
His leg got really beat up by Gutierrez in the last one. I don't know.
Let me quickly search that up. But yeah, we said before the preview that Jonathan Martinez is will be the better striker. And I thought that was true. I thought he hasn't got a fight lined up. He definitely got beat up against Chris Gutierrez. Anyway,
yeah,
I thought Martinez, as we said there coming in, is the better striker, and I thought he showed it. He is the better striker out of the two. But David Grant, you can't mess with his power, and it's one shot is all it takes. Left hook, Larry. It lands once again. I think he's only. Before his 2 back-to-back knockouts, he's only ever had 1 KO. That's incredible. He's had 2 back-to-back knockouts, and he's only had 1 apart from them.
It's always surprising to me when a guy who's traditionally a grappler just gets a really great hands and starts knocking guys out. It happened with Gilbert Burns.
Notorious 1-1. He said, "So does he deserve it?" I think he's alluding to Leon Edwards. Does he deserve that? Does he deserve a title shot? We both, me and Oscar both agreed that he doesn't. His performance was good. He looked sharp. He looked really sharp after 600 days outside the cage. It was a great performance. He rocked Belal in the first round. The fight was definitely going his way. Maybe we could even see a stoppage later in the rounds. But yeah, Leon Edwards is going to win that fight. But that performance doesn't warrant a title shot for me.
Yeah, we both agreed he needs to fight one of these top dogs and really earn his spot as the #1 contender. I suggested Wonder Boy. Lenny suggested possibly Colby Covington or Gilbert Burns. But yeah, he doesn't deserve it right now. One more fight and he earns it.
Yeah. Well, straight back to the David Grant situation. Yeah, I thought David Grant, and Jonathan Martinez was the better striker. He showed he's the better striker, knocked him down the round 1. But David Grant has that power, that one-punch power you can't really mess with in MMA. You make one mistake, boom, it's lights out. And that's what happened. Jonathan Martinez made that one mistake and it was lights out. He felt that power from David Grant and he kind of looked starstruck. He looked star-startled and he felt like he didn't really want to get hit again. And unfortunately, he got clean hit right on the chin with that left hook and put his lights out. But yeah, it was great to see David Grant get another performance of the night bonus. That's 2 in a row for him now. That's 100K in his last 2 fights in bonuses.
Yeah, it's great to see a vet like this just rack up these wins against these prospects, because they always get counted out, and I always like a good surprise on UFC card, and that's definitely what happened there.
They also announced on the broadcast that David Grant doesn't need to fight because in his spare time he has a restaurant and it's doing very well.
Yeah, it's really good to hear. It's always good that a guy has a backup plan. He already has something to fall back on him if MMA, is done with, and it doesn't look like MMA is going to be done with him. And that even in these next couple of years, he was already a good grappler, and now he's becoming somewhat of a power puncher. Just really good. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Notorious 1M1.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for stopping by. But yeah, as you were saying, yeah, it's great to see a fight have a B plan outside the cage. Not even maybe a B plan, just something to do in their spare time when they're not trading, just to kind of set their mind straight. Because if you have fighting revolved around you for 24/7, it could probably turn a little bit insane. But these guys, they're all trained to be killers, and they're good at what they do at their job. But let's talk maybe a controversial decision. Oscar. How did it go, in your eyes?
I like to use the term robbery a lot, but this was probably a robbery. The judging criteria is based on effective control, damage, and Manel Cop was the one doing the damage in the third round. Sure, for the first half of that third round, he was 100% getting outstruck. He was losing, but he turned it around, and I think he might have rocked him in that third round with a couple knees. And when he's the one doing more damage, I think he should get his hand raised. He was on his way to losing that fight in the first round. He was once again being timid, looking for the knockout, and I really was kind of mad that he was fighting that way because that's exactly the way he lost last time. But in that second round, when he landed something and rocked Nicolau was intimidated by the power, and he pulled back on the volume. And I thought he was going in the direction of a cap knockout, possibly. But Nicolau's chin appears to have improved since his time off, maybe since he fought at bantamweight while he was outside of the UFC. He wasn't depleting himself as much, so Chen might have cover there. He's also been extremely inactive, which is why I was pretty confident that Cap would get the win here. But props to Nicolau. He got the judge's decision here, but I don't think it was warranted. Do you think that Cap was robbed here, or did Nicolau do enough in that round?
Robbed is a very strong word in MMA. A lot of fighters, a lot of fans use it every time there's a close fight and it doesn't go one fighter's way. The fans pop in immediately saying robbery. But I feel like you can't really use robbery in a close fight. And this was a close fight. Any fighter should have got their hand raised. I think round one, Cape was just inactive. We saw it in his debut. I think the stats came up in the first round. I think he threw a total of was it 4 strikes?
Yeah, I don't recall. He was quite inactive, just looking for that big bomb. As I expected him to get a knockout in the second round, and he was once again coming in with the same mindset. But you just can't really do that at this level. You can't just expect to get an easy knockout against a guy that's pretty high level in Nicolau. Nicolau
he definitely showed it, yeah.
I underestimated him, to be honest, coming into this. And he looks much better than he did when he was in the UFC back a couple of years ago. Props to Nicolau, but I think Cap probably did enough. And to be fair, I did bet a little money on him, so that might have been why I was extra mad that he lost.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Cap should have maybe got that, the nod that night. But extremely inactive in the first round. He went 1-0 down. Round 2, completely his round. Round 2, he changed up fight. He went in there, he threw a lot of strikes. Very active. After the round 1, his corner went to him and said, "Cap, you need to throw." And then after that, we've seen it. We've seen it in round 2. We've seen it in round 3. A little bit of trouble in round 3, but I still think he won the round. He should have got the nod that night. 2-1 to him. 29-28. That's the only way I see it. And I was disappointed in the judges, but it's a really close fight. It could have went either way. The only way he avoids that if he stops the fight, and he didn't do that. So the only thing, I don't want to disregard Nicolau's performance, but the only way Cap would feel better about that performance if he stopped Nicolau from getting it to the judges. And maybe this is good for Manel Cap now. In the next fight, we might see him come out with, aggression because, he's lost 2 decisions in a row. He might not want it to get to the judges' scorecards ever again. And he might come out just letting his hands go and hunting for that KO.
Yeah. I do think matchmaking would be a big part of this puzzle for Manel Cap to get a win. I say put him in there with Tyson Nam, a guy who likes to go for the knockout as well and doesn't really like point fighting. So I say put that fight together. Both those guys are going to want to knock each other's heads off, and it makes a lot of sense if you ask me. Both guys are coming off of losses, and there would probably be a knockout in that one, and I would love to see it.
Yeah, definitely. That would be a crazy fight between the two. Tyson Nam, a veteran in MMA, been around the globe, fought around in different promotions. Manel Cap, former rising bantamweight champion, dropped down to flyweight because the difference in weight isn't really that much. I think bantamweight in rising maybe like 133, 132, something like that. But yeah, Manel Cap, dropped down to flyweight, and it's unfortunate because he had a lot of hype coming into his his debut inside the UFC. I just want to see him get his hand raised now. So yeah, where he goes from here, maybe that matchup with Tyson Nam, that's a great matchup. Both guys like to look for the KO. Definitely one guy will look for that KO and definitely get the KO in that fight. 100% someone's getting put out.
Yeah, it's just matchmaking would be a big part of that puzzle for Cap to finally get a win in the UFC octagon.
Yeah, talking about wins in the UFC octagon, Anders or Stewart did not do that this night. It ended in a no contest via an illegal knee. And funny enough, I don't want to disrespect him, so no disrespect to Eric Anders. I spoke to him on Pub Sports Radio last week, and we talked about the fight. And I asked him, did you see that UFC 259, the legal knee, Peter Yan? And I asked him about the Tim Williams situation because he had like a sort of similar situation, where he head kicked him when he came up against the floor. If you remember that knockout.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So I asked him about that, and he went, "Well, mine's legal." What are the odds?
My goodness, he even tweeted at Peter Yan after the fight at UFC 259. He said Yan playing by pride rules, and Yan actually mentioned he retweeted that with a face palm emoji, and that accurately describes the situation here. Just very unfortunate. Somebody DM'd me saying that Anders was going to get the knockout in the first round, and I didn't see it going that way. I thought these guys were going to play it safe and probably just clinch up against each other and hope to get the judge's nod, but Anders came out guns a-blazing. He actually looked like he was a light heavyweight in there. He looked massive. He put on some muscle, and Stewart, the reason he's at welterweight is because of the muscle on his frame, and Darren Stewart was the smaller guy in there, and he got bullied in that first round. He got knocked down and rocked badly, and I thought the fight was going to get stopped at any moment, but Derek Anders just made a terrible mistake. And he already it was already in his memory that Yan knee was already, in his stratosphere. It was on his mind fairly recently. I don't know how you can make that mistake again. He said it was in the heat of the moment. I don't know. That cost him a win. But I have no interest in seeing this ran back because we saw Anders was about to get the finish, and Darren Stewart was just outmatched. Anders should move on from this, but he needs to learn, man. How are you going to make that mistake after seeing somebody make the same mistake? This was, of course, not to the same degree that mistake was for Yan. That was a title fight. The referee clearly warned him and told him not to do it. And it was a full straight up knee to the face. This one wasn't with as much force, but still, you can't be doing that. He looked, he looked good as long as he was in there, and I personally see this as a win for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is definitely it's a no contest, yes, but Anders, if there's 23 seconds left in the round, and if that fight played out, I think Anders lets him up and he knocks him out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Stewart was, he was done. He was done. A lot of people saying that he might have, took the easy way out. maybe that's true, but I don't want to I don't want to accuse anything, but he got hit with an illegal knee. His one was very different to Peter Yan's. Peter Yan's, Aljamain took that clean on the head. This one, was kind of blocked. Stewart had his right hand up, but credit to both men. Honestly, they both came out and they came out for like swinging. Anders said in the pre-fight in the interview, he said that this is going to be fight of the night. If the fight continued, it well could have been.
Yeah, I didn't know Darren Stewart was going to come in with the same approach that he came into the Julian Marquez fight, which was just swing for the fences and hope to clip your opponent. He had his hands down. Bisping was yelling, "Put your hands up for goodness sake!" And he never put his hands up, and he paid for it. I hope he learns from that. That was an unfortunate night for him, and deep down inside, he knows that was a loss.
Yeah, it was a tough one as well. He spent a lot of time working away at his gym. A long training camp for this one. But so did Anders. He looked in incredible shape. I spoke to him pre-fight. He said he had a change in strength and conditioning, and that's why he looks as good as he is now. And he looked like when he was like walking in, like getting ready for the fight, he looked like a welterweight. This guy was, he was lean and mean, but when it came to fight day, he looked big.
Humongous. This version of Eric Anders kind of reminds me why he was such a big prospect coming to the UFC. In fact, he got a main event against Lyoto Machida fairly early in his UFC run, and this is the version of Eric Anders that I want to see in there, because this version of Eric Anders is very dangerous, and on any night he could clip you and put you out.
Yeah, exactly. But credit to both men here. They put on a show for the fans for how little it lasted. But if the fight did continue, I think we could have seen a stoppage. So maybe it was glad the fight, ended, because, it was an illegal knee, deserved to be stopped. Darren wanted to continue, though. That was interesting. What a warrior spirit from Darren to say, I want to fight on after getting, almost KO'd.
He was clearly wobbly. There was no way that fight was going to continue after he was at that wobbly. Derek Anders would have just landed one punch and probably would have been over with. I'm not surprised that Herb. I don't remember who was in there that night, but I'm not surprised the referee ended it. And fights that definitely could have been stopped on multiple occasions and eventually were. We're talking about Charles Jourdain and Rojo. Rojo is actually a bantamweight, and he moved up to featherweight for this short notice opportunity. He was originally supposed to fight Raoni Barcelos, a guy who's touted as a future champion, but he got Charles Jourdain instead, and Jourdain is just, this guy might have one of the biggest hearts in the UFC. This guy can take a beating and give it right back to you, and that's what he did right here. He got knocked down against Josh Kulabau and eventually went to a draw after winning the next 2 rounds. And it was a similar deal here. Rojo was winning those first 2 rounds. He was out striking him, and he had him really bad. He had him hurt bad in that second round. And I felt kind of crushed because Jourdain is my favorite Canadian fighter, I'd say. And I think he can do really big things for the Canadian market for the UFC. Possibly the magnitude of GSP did if he gets up there one day. But Rojo, that guy has the heart of the lion too. This guy, he kept on going until the referee pulled Jourdain off. And there was 30 seconds left in this fight, and Rojo refused to quit. I give all props to these two. If you ask me, this was fight of the night. And it's kind of a shame the UFC only gives out 4 bonuses. I think they should give out a bonus to everybody who gets a finish and always have a fight of the night. And this was definitely the fight of the night. It was really awesome stuff here from both these guys. I say Charles Jourdain should get Makwan Amirkhani next, a UFC vet, a very talented grappler who just fought very dangerous Edson Barbosa. Charles Jourdain is just as dangerous as Barbosa these days. This guy has got a ton of power, and he's got really good cardio. People need to start talking more about his cardio because he can go all day and he can take a beating and dish it right back. Do you think Charles Jourdain is going to be the face of Canadian MMA in these next couple of years?
Yeah, I would like to think so. After GSP left, we were stuck with Elias Fiodoru. So that kind of, that explains that. That kind of explains itself. Talking about Elias Theodore, he got a win the exact same night these guys fought. Since leaving the UFC, I think he's got 3 back-to-back. I'm not too sure. So maybe a possible return to the UFC. We don't know. He was a great fighter. I was a little bit surprised when he got released. He had some good wins under his belt. That Derek Brunson one, that really, tarnished in the mind of Dana White. He didn't really like that, and his performance, and he cut him. But anyway, we're talking about Charles Jourdain. Would in the future, definitely, this guy has all the makings to be, a star, a talent, an entertainer, in the best way to put it. He goes out there, puts on wars, and he's so entertaining in every single fight that he's in. We said then his last fight against Joshua, was it Joshua Kalabau? Kulabau. He got knocked down. He came back, fought, and got a draw. That's insane. In this fight, maybe was he going his way? 1-1, going into the third, comes out strong, heart of a lion, finishes the fight, or maybe 2-0 down. I think his corner actually said to Charles Jourdain that you need to finish this fight. Charles goes out there and finishes the fight. Incredible.
Yeah, I always like those dramatic moments in between rounds 2 and 3 where the corner says, hey, you need to get the finish. And more often than not, the guy is already mentally broken and he's unable to get it done. But in moments like these, it's always great to see somebody with their back against the wall and eventually they get that finish. It's really awesome.
Definitely. But it also showed us that, Marcelo Rojo, he belongs in the UFC. Charles Jourdain, he's a great fighter. He's stuck in there. He's on his way to a victory inside the octagon. He's in his debut. But yeah, Marcus Rojo, maybe a drop down to bantamweight. If you don't know who this guy is, search him up on YouTube. Look at his celebration after the fight at Combat America. He does like some Jurassic Park dinosaur one. It's incredible. It's really fun. And that's why I wanted him to win, because I wanted to see that celebration inside the octagon. But next, should we move on to maybe Nasrat Haqparast versus Garcia?
Absolutely. That was another barn burner that if Jourdain and Rojo hadn't happened, this would have been my fight of the night. This was awesome as long as it landed. Garcia was, he's usually wins by submission, but he really wasn't trying to go for takedowns. He was just trying to have an exciting fight. And Nasrat Haqparast was clearly the better striker. He was outlanding him constantly, but Garcia was continuously dangerous, and his cardio was really holding up there at the end of the fight. Haqparast is one of these really great prospects that only loses to really good guys. And Garcia is one of these really good guys. But Haqparast I think he's leveled up. That Dober loss was very unfortunate. But I think another step up in competition for Haqparast would be really beneficial for him. I say put him in there with Alexander Hernandez. Hernandez was once ranked. He has a knockout win over Beneil Dariush, who just got booked against Tony Ferguson for a barn burner fight in May, I believe. I can't wait for that one, but nonetheless.
Hey, while we're on the topic of, lightweight matchups, it just got announced today, Gaethje versus Chandler in the works.
Yeah, that fight has fight of the night written all over if we don't see an early knockout, which I see an early knockout for Gaethje there, but we'll preview that in full length later.
Oh, interesting.
Garcia was undefeated heading into this, but that didn't really matter according to the odds makers. They had Haqparast at a -400 favorite. Everybody was expecting Haqparast to win, including me. I even thought he could get a knockout here, but Garcia was very durable, and he had just a great showing here. This really showed people that this guy belongs in the UFC. He had a good fight against a guy who's going to get ranked possibly in these next couple of years. Garcia earned his keep in the UFC with this one. This was a short notice opportunity for him too. Imagine with a full camp what he could have done.
Yeah, Nasrat is, incredible on the feet. He saw it in this fight. Yeah, yes, his opponent was 12-0 and he's a submission specialist. That's where he wants to fight. But, Garcia was game. He came to fight and, he was just always in the face of Nasrat, and Nasrat just kept on popping him with his punches. Nasrat, has the potential to go all the way in this division. Where I'd like to see him go next, I was thinking about that in my head. And I was thinking maybe a veteran. If not a veteran, maybe Thiago Moises. He said there, Alex Hernandez. Thiago Moises would maybe be good. Maybe Bobby King Green, Bobby Pin Green, I think, or maybe Clay Guida. One of them guys at lightweight. That I think would be a very good matchup for Nasrat. A good veteran fighter under his belt in his resume. I think that really boosts his confidence, and it will be good for him to fight a legend inside the game. But yeah, great for Nasrat. The sky is the limit for this guy. His striking is beautiful. His takedown defense held up, and he looked great. I think he maybe even tripped Garcia at one point. He did a Yan Garcia trip.
Yeah, I love that trip, man. It's really impressive when guys pull it off, especially against a guy with pretty good wrestling.
100%. Well, last prelims. Should we talk about the knockout, the first knockout of the night?
Absolutely, this was a jaw dropper to kick things off, and it set the tone for the night. I was expecting Witt to pull this off by submission.
I was too.
It was not his night. I expected his chin to hold up, but it really didn't. This guy is, he's very vulnerable in these exchanges. And Summersburger just needed 3 total strikes to get it done. It went for a blind leg kick. He just went straight in, just got clipped and put out. Summersburger he's a really good prospect. I say a fight with Danny Roberts would be awesome to watch. I say put him in there with Danny Roberts, a guy who's been in the UFC for a good amount of time. I think Summersburger has leveled up, and there we go. This would be just awesome. Awesome.
I don't know what happened there with my camera, so sorry about that. But yeah, a matchup with Danny Roberts. Sometimes I'm sat there thinking, I need you're great at matchmaking. I think my camera might have just shut off again, but your matchmaking is incredible. Danny Roberts, that's a great scrap. I think I need to email Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard.
Oh man, I also get a couple of these ideas from my guy at MMA Matchmaking on Instagram. This guy is constantly calling out Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard, saying, "I'm going to take your job." I think that guy is more deserving of the job, but that would be possibly a dream job of mine. Just sitting in that matchmaking room with Dana and the guys, and just putting together these barn burners. And that's a barn burner. Roberts and Summersburger.
Yeah, how would you even get that job? You've got to be close to Dana at some point.
Yeah,
you've got to be close to.
I believe when those guys just burn out, they're gonna give up their position, and possibly a fighter could take their spot, if you ask me.
Like a DC, something like that.
Yeah, Chael Sonnen would be great in that job too. As a matchmaker.
Oh my god, that you're great at it, Oscar. I tell you, you're great at picking matchmakers, matchups. It's your speciality. But yeah, Summersburger, put on absolute. I don't want to say maybe a clinic, but just a one-punch KO knockout. It was. I had Witt in this fight, as Oscar said. I had it. Second round submission, maybe, or first round submission. I thought the wrestling of Witt. We saw it in the last fight. It's good, but Summersburger didn't let it. He didn't let it, get to his game. And in the broadcast, they mentioned, Witt was throwing them lazy kicks. And then one lazy kick later, boom, Summersburger straight down the pipe, and he's out. And that's all she wrote. End of the fight. Summersburger raises his hand and gets the performance of the night bonus, $50K for his 16-second knockout. It was crazy. Bit of a funny story, or was that Dan Ige? I think DC thought it was a 3-second knockout. Was that Dan Ige versus Gavin Tucker?
Yeah, I don't know what those guys were doing. They must be zoned out and seen Witt on the floor.
Yeah. I got to mention, by the way, the UFC doing a great job with that draft king. That round clock in the cage. That's an incredible touch.
Yeah, and it's great promotion for DraftKings. They actually signed a
Yeah.
$350 million deal with those
Ooh.
guys. So DraftKings definitely deserves to have their name showcased all over the UFC octagon, and that's actually what I used to bet.
Not too bad, is it? Was it you say $350, $300 million?
Yeah, yeah,
Whew, that's incredible. But yeah, absolutely great performance from Matthew Smeltzberger. This one, bit of an upset. We'll quickly recap them. Junior Frey, came in there, the underdog against Depaul, and upset the odds, should we say.
yeah. I thought Jinyu Frey had a real chance to get this done if she could get those takedowns in. That's what she did here. Paula's striking is really good. She trains with her girlfriend, Myra Bueno Silva. Those two girls are really nasty in the clinch. They'll cut you up with elbows, but off their back, they're Paula's not really that dangerous. And Frey was able to control her and uh, get that control time and get the judge's decision here. I didn't think this one was controversial, but the next one was, in my opinion, Aldrich and it was a Courtney Casey. That fight was quite close. If that third round was basically decided by Aldrich getting that takedown, but Casey was coming out guns a blazing in that first round. She didn't hurt her or anything, but it was just constant activity from her that clearly won the first round. The second round was a little dicey for her. Didn't go as smooth. Aldrich really wasn't too concerned about Casey's submission threat, and I bet this one would go to the decision, and it did. But Casey once again on the wrong side of a split decision. It's a shame she doesn't have a knockout bomb to rely on like a Ryan Spann.
Yeah, she must hate these judges. Definitely a fight that I thought could have gone her way, 100%.
Yeah, it at the women's level, these fights go to the judges' scorecards more often than not because of their lack of punching power, and that really didn't what she did in there should have convinced the judges. But Aldrich, her takedowns are really good. I was saying Aldrich was the mean striker. She was gonna outstrike her. No, Casey's striking looks much better. She looks more comfortable on the feet, and she probably should have won this.
Yeah, and you put the nail on the head right there. Casey Kenny, her range was good, her punches were good. She was sharp, she was crisp, landing, with Aldridge on the end of her punches. She was looking good. As you can see there, look at the strike differential: 121 out of 202
Double.
compared to 58 over 99. That's incredible. She outlanded her everywhere, but it was takedowns of Aldridge that really maybe got her the nod that night. 4 out of 7 takedowns, 5 minutes and 44 seconds control time. But yeah, I thought Casey Kenny, she definitely got the win that night. She mixed it up. Actually, there 11 leg strikes landed in the fight. She mixed it up well, and maybe should have got the nod. And maybe she's really she needs to start finishing fights because the judges are not going her way.
Yeah, she just can't. If she can't put together a finish, I don't know what she needs to do to get it done. Probably work on her takedown defense because that really didn't hold up.
Yeah, last 2 fights of the evening. We have Rony Yaha versus Ray Rodriguez, and oh man, this was just this is just domination from start to finish. Ray Rodriguez, was never really in this fight. You just look at the figures right here. Look at his head. 7 minutes of control time. By the way, credit to Rony Yaha to getting that 7 minute on the dot.
Yeah, yeah. No change left on that clock. Yaha looked like $1,000,000 here. This guy just surpassed all of these bantamweight greats, including Dillashaw Faber, for most finishes in UFC/WEC history. And Rodriguez had a puncher's chance here, but Yaha didn't allow really any time on the feet for him and took him down immediately and controlled him really well. and he played it safe. He was very patient, and the entire time he was hunting the arm triangle, and eventually got in that second round. And very impressive performance by Yaha, a guy who's older, who doesn't have that much time left. But as he said, he's inspired by these older guys like DC who won the title later in their career, and it appears he still has these aspirations. At bantamweight, there's really no bad matchups you can make. You were just saying I'm a good matchmaker. I just think these guys are really good fighters, and you can literally throw their names in a hat and pick out any two names. You're going to come out with a really good fight. Yaha, and any option for him is going to be fun.
Maybe I got one off the top of my head. Maybe Nathaniel Wood.
Absolutely, that would be a thriller of a fight. And that's what I want to see next. You beat me to the punch here. Put him in there with Nathaniel Wood, the prospect versus the guy with a ton of finishes and an excellent ground game, who just shut down Rodriguez, who's probably fighting for his job in this next one.
Yeah, 2 fights. Let's be honest. He got what in his first fight, Brian Kelleher. In this fight, he got Rony Yaha. So he hasn't been, with the best of luck inside the UFC.
Yeah, no favors given to him by the matchmakers.
Mm-hmm. The women's strawweight bout between Angela Hill versus Ashley Yoder. The rematch went down, and oh my god, this is probably the best performance I've seen from Angela Hill. I mean, she was great on the feet. Her takedown defense was looking good. She had more control time than Ashley Yoder, where everyone thought, Ashley Yoder, her strong point, is on the ground. And Angela Hill kind of, shut her down. She outlanded her in this fight massively. She's so technical and great on the feet, Angela Hill. And her Muay Thai is brilliant. Her clinch work is incredible. I'd like to see her maybe get a rematch of one of the losses down next. Who maybe even a fight with Mariana Rodriguez or maybe Amanda Ribas. That could work. But what's your thoughts on Angela Hill's a bounce back win?
Angela Hill did what I expected her to do. Her takedown defense has improved slightly, but she was still vulnerable to getting taken down. She got taken down twice after she had Yoder in real trouble. She hurt her. She got some really good knees going to the body, and I thought she was on cusp of getting a finish. But Yoder is, I'll give it to her. She's really tough, and she was able to get those takedowns despite being hurt. Angela Hill has been on the rock side of a couple split decisions here, and it's really good to see her get a win here. That fight with Michelle Waterson, if you ask me, that was just a coin flip. Anybody could have won that fight. In fact, if you scored some of those rounds 10-10, I would have been fine with it. Those two were even on strikes on so many rounds. That was a very close fight. And if she would have won that fight, she probably wouldn't be in the spot where she's fighting somebody like Yoder. She was having extremely competitive fights with Claudia Gadelha, who's been at the top of the division for a while now. As you see right here, these two, they had one of the greatest women's fights of all time. I'd say top 5. It was a bunch of volume from these two. And those last 2 rounds were ultra competitive. There was no loser in that fight. And once again, a split decision. And before that, another split decision against Gadelha. And she actually got a knockdown in that one. And I had picked Gadelha, and I was surprised to see Angela Hill avoid those takedown attempts and outstrike her. So Angela Hill has 100% improved. She doesn't have the greatest record in the UFC, but she keeps on improving. She's a little older. She's got a lot of experience on her side. She's always down for a short notice fight. And I would love to see her possibly jump in if one of these girls fall out of a future matchup. But if you ask me what's next for her, put her in there with Amanda Lemos. Amanda Lemos was she had an awesome finish of a Lavina Souza last week, I believe. And that's a really dangerous matchup for Angela Hill, if you ask me. Lemos has a good ground game, and she can probably match her in the striking. That would be a good test for Lemos. and it would also once again remind us that Angela Hill can beat these prospects.
I'm flabbergasted, Oscar. You keep pulling them out the bag. That's an amazing fight. Angela Hill versus, Amanda Lemos. Incredible power versus technique.
Absolutely. That's just one that really made sense to me. Lemos is only 2 spots below her on the rankings, and Yoder wasn't even ranked at all. So I don't think Angela Hill should get in there against a Tatiana Suarez or a Marina Rodriguez yet. Let's let her get another win because quite frankly she's been losing these last couple despite them being split decisions. But let's look on to next week. We got some fun fights. I already made my predictions privately, and I'm predicting a ton of finishes. I don't think we're gonna see the judges judges scorecards being read by Bruce Buffer a ton that night. This is a really good main event between Brunson and Holland. It could go either way. A lot of people are counting out Brunson, but Brunson, he's been around a long time, and ever since he went to a new camp, he's been patient. He's not rushing in and getting clipped like he did in the Adesanya fight. But Kevin Holland is on an upwards trajectory, and my goodness, look at these matchups. We got the Bays couple fighting on this card, and I expect big things out of those two. But my goodness, this is a fun card across the board. I expect a ton of finishes, and everybody should tune into this start to finish because it's going to be fireworks.
Yeah, one. Should we go for the most underrated fight on the card? To kind of look out for.
Oh my goodness, Santos Dawson.
Yeah,
this is such a high level fight. Dawson is actually a sizable favorite. I believe he's a 2-1 favorite. But Leonardo Santos doesn't know what losing is. This guy has not lost since I believe the odd 2010s. I believe it was 2011 where he lost a split decision. Let me look it up right here. Leonardo Santos. My goodness, this guy is on a 7-fight winning streak in the UFC. One of the biggest win streaks besides Charles Oliveira and Habib, but he's probably out of the division right now. But he has a really impressive record. When's the last time he lost? Let's look it up.
Santiago Ponzinibbio in the UFC Brazil. Was that the last one? Yeah, that was the last one.
When was that? What year was that?
That was back in 2013. The Ultimate Fighter Brazil Season 2.
And we know how big Santiago Ponzinibbio is. Ponzinibbio could possibly go to middleweight at some point, and Leonardo Santos is down at lightweight, and that was 2013. Do you have any idea how long 2013 was? Anderson Silva might have been the middleweight champion when that fight occurred. To give you some perspective on that, Leonardo Santos is really good, but let's not forget Grant Dawson is moving up from featherweight. I don't know if this is a permanent move. MMA Fighting's What the Heck podcast is going to be released this Wednesday. Mike Heck is the host of it, and he's interviewing Grant Dawson, and Dawson is going to reveal if he's going to stick around at this division after this fight. Grant Dawson is on a run here. He's a really good. He's a Glory MMA guy. Gets trained by James Krause. This is going to be ultra competitive, if you ask me. And he's a really good grappler. But Leonardo Santos is a great grappler too, and Santos has legitimate punching power. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, legitimate punching power, and he's been knocked out before. Back in 2016 against Hugh Pulley in round 1, 36 seconds. In the famous words of Oscar, what follows that?
Yeah. It's going to be hard to follow that. They're all going to be at a really in a really bad spot there, but I'll give you guys my pick out right now. Leonardo Santos, 2nd round knockout.
Yeah, a great card from top to bottom. But that's for Thursday's episode. You'll be joining us from YouTube live right here on MMAUnhinged. Make sure you like and subscribe. And yet again, thank you very much for joining me, Oscar. It's been a pleasure. It's always great to talk to you.
You as well.
Thank you very much for joining me. From me and Oscar, a very goodbye. And we hope you enjoy the fights this weekend. Thank you.